I'm Coley Kohler, and I'm on Native Ground with Renee Cruz. So can you tell us a little bit about Esperanza Films?
Sure. We founded Esperanza Films in 1993 in New York City, and our company is a full-service production company. We do film, television, and corporate work. Commercials, documentaries. We've pretty much done everything that is out there to be done, and we have presences in New York, Los Angeles, Mexico City, and London now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about your theme, Manufacture Hope One Heart at a Time?
You went to the website. When you achieve a certain level of success in the business, and it's never really been about money for me, and I've always had a sense of purpose and a reason why I do the work I do. I started off my career early making films in war zones, and then we worked on this documentary for HBO that was about battered women and then homelessness in America. So that really affected my viewpoint of making films. So Manufacturing Hope One Heart at a Time really goes to the root of what we do. Film is a medium that can be used for changing hearts. And in this day and age, we really need to have hope. It's a very kind of rare commodity, particularly in the current economy. I see a lot of hopelessness. So I feel like I have a divine mandate to create hope one heart at a time. And stories are a great way to do that.
Can you tell us where you began your film career?
Wow. I started out as a actor when I was a kid. I was in an off-Broadway play when I was probably 11 years old. And everybody always thought I'd be an actor. And even today, I'll walk into meetings and they're like, "Oh man, I love your work," or what have I seen you in? But I always, in my heart, I've always been a storyteller. So I hooked up with a guy when I was 16 years old. He was a filmmaker. He was the cameraman on Woodstock, the movie. And he took me under his wing and started mentoring me, which was extraordinary because I grew up in a very poor place, and there weren't a lot of opportunities in those days for filmmakers of minorities. So he took me under his wing, started showing me how to do stuff, and I worked with him for like 3 years. And then I decided I should go to school. So I ended up going to school of visual art in New York City. And after school, we just started shooting. I shot a television show as a cameraman and kind of worked my way up from PA in the professional world. My first film was a horror film called Sleepaway Camp. And then I worked on a bunch of films in New York, like Romancing the Stone and 9.5 Weeks. And I worked my way up to being assistant to directors. I worked with Adrian Lyne. I worked on Romancing the Stone as a translator for Bob Zemeckis, and that way I got a kind of broad view of the industry as a whole, and I learned from some of the best people in the industry. Just privileged to watch them work, and eventually I went out on my own and started working my way through the crew departments. So I did my first job out of the production department was as a sound boom guy. Then I worked my way up to being a sound recordist, which is great because in the industry, everybody wants to be a director, everybody wants to be a cameraman, but the sound man is just as important. You usually find that out in post-production when the sound is horrible and you have to spend a lot of money to fix it. So the sound department is very easy. Nobody tries to get into sound, and you're right there in the thick of it. In fact, the boom person is right there watching the actors work. So sound, I did lighting, and I eventually became a cameraman, and I was a director of photography for like 5 years. And then I started directing, naturally. I've done editing, and then eventually I was the guy that knew the most on the crew, so I became the producer. And today I'm producing, directing, and writing as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, this didn't happen in 2 weeks. It's been a course of nearly 30 years from when I started working in film till today. And it is such an advanced medium. To be able to master it, it's one thing to run out with a digital camera, and quite another to master a medium that is so powerful and subtle so that you understand the language of it to be able to communicate deeply through film.
Why did you want to found your company?
Well, the name Esperanza means hope, and I think a lot of it comes from my roots. You know, my ethnic makeup is I'm Cuban and Puerto Rican. On the Cuban side, there's Chinese blood. On the Puerto Rican side, my mother's grandmother was pure Taino Indian, and we grew up in a very poor place. Hoboken, New Jersey, was, if you know the TV show The Sopranos, that was the real life Sopranos. The mafia ran the town. As a minority person there, like, things were really shut off to us, and things were not like, I'm very musical, and I went to, they made an announcement to get clarinets. They were giving clarinets, and I went to get my clarinet, and they looked at me and said, "Oh, we don't give clarinets to spics," this is coming from a teacher in the school. So growing up in that environment, everything that I had a dream to do, I kind of had to go and seek it out. And when through the blessing of God, that I've been able to do everything I had to achieve, I wanted to give back. So the concept is to give hope to people, to give a platform for new voices, because our stories are so important to be told. If you're here at Sundance, you see most of the stories pretty much don't relate to everyday life. You know what I mean? It's like, I've been in this business a long time. Most of the people who are making films have money. They come from more privileged backgrounds. And I felt a sense of, again, it's a divine call to tell the stories of my people, and so that becomes a mission, to give a voice to people who don't have a voice, because our point of view is important. And I feel like the whole planet, the earth, is trembling and waiting for our stories to be told, because our stories will bring change. And you're feeling that, because it's really true in the spirit realm. Our stories need to be told, because they're stories that will release life, and this same old stuff. You watch these dark films and this stuff over and over, and it doesn't release life, and what the planet is crying for is life, and that's what the Great Spirit is. The Great Spirit is life, and it's time for that. I just want to encourage young filmmakers, Native Americans, and people of color, that our stories are really important to be told. We must have our voice heard in the conversation, because what we bring is something different. And I encourage people not to just speak about only your trauma, but celebrate who you are. Celebrate the joy of our culture. I mean, with all that poverty and stuff that I grew up around, we love to party. We love family get-togethers and dinners, and those times when the family was together and we celebrated together. Those are things that need to be celebrated. So I really encourage young filmmakers to get out there, find a way to tell your story, and don't feel like you have to conform to other things that you're seeing out there. Tell your story. People want to hear it. And even the earth itself wants to hear the stories.